Hello, American Literature 2. I hope you had a great weekend and I hope you're ready for an excellent week. We've got a really good story to read this week. It's called The Real Thing and it's by Henry James. Just a few things I want to just talk about real quick. I noticed that on some of your comments on Twain, you said, hey, I wasn't impressed with this particular story. And hey, that's fine. That's awesome. And it's totally fine. You're going to have some of these that you love and some of them that you hate. And this was in the discussion boards. I saw some comments. I would like to challenge you guys. Again, when we're dealing with literature, when we're dealing with really anything, we want to try to do some critical thinking. Okay, if you didn't like it, what didn't you like about it? And try to be specific. Maybe even specifically say a passage or two and talk about that. But when it comes to literature, it's more than just did I like it or not, right? When it comes to literature, it is what does it mean? What was the author trying to say? You can hear my dog drinking out of his bowl. He's very thirsty. You guys hear that? He's really thirsty today. All right. So essentially, when it comes to literature, yes, part of it is, hey, did I like it or did I not like it? But what we're trying to do is become more familiar with how to look at literature critically. So that means, okay, what did the author set out to do? What was the author's intentions? And in order to know this, we need to understand a few things. And we have to think beyond the year 2021. We have to think, okay, what was going on in the world at the time? Maybe we'll have to think about, okay, who is this Mark Twain person? Or in this case, Henry James. Who is this Henry James person? What were some of the things that were going on at the time of during this author's life? And then in addition to that, maybe I can do a little bit of research and it doesn't take much research to do this. It's just dig in a little bit and say, well, is there anything out there that is written about this particular piece of literature? What did the author say about this particular piece of literature? How was it received by the audience of its time? These are so easy, insanely easy things to find out today because of the internet and the ease of access to information. So even if you're just looking at Wikipedia, that's fine. You're not going to use Wikipedia as a source in an essay, okay? But that is not to say Wikipedia is not going to help you get a good general understanding of the piece of literature or whatever it is that you're using Wikipedia for. There's a reason why it exists. Wikipedia is a great place to go for a general understanding, okay? And then you do your research beyond that if you want a deeper understanding. But I want to challenge you guys. There was one comment in the discussion board and then people responded to it. Remember, you need to make your own individual comment and then also respond to other people. So some of you guys got partial credit. Some of you guys, I haven't scored you yet just because I'm hoping that you'll make a comment of your own in addition to hopefully providing just a little bit deeper of an explanation as far as, okay, what were you expecting? And I know some people were saying, hey, I was expecting better from an author as big as Mark Twain. Well, okay, why is that? And what exactly, and could it be that we need to think about the literature just a little bit more deeply and more critically? And it's not like you have to like it. That's the thing where I don't care if you like the literature or not. Like, I don't read Jumping Frog just all the time. And, I think, it's Saturday night. You know what I'm going to do, right? So that's not really necessarily the goal of this course or of literature, of appreciating literature. One of the primary things we're trying to do is say, okay, what aspect of the human condition, okay, so look up the human condition if you're not familiar with this, but essentially the human condition is the situations, the emotions, the all of the things that make up a human life. What is it that we all share with this humanity? And this is stuff that every author that we read, every poem, every play, every short story, they're making some kind of a comment about the human condition in some way, okay? In some way, shape, or form, they're commenting on some aspect of what it is to be a human being. And it's sometimes in the world that we live in, we're so inundated with, maybe the news or politics or things like that. We have a hard time thinking outside of that. And literature helps us to think outside of that into things that are possibly far more profound than what's in the news today. Okay. And that is because it's aspects that we can relate to, people that are hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. So the human condition is something that we share with the same people that, had no written language, and it was just a shared language from one person to the next. When you look at the caves where, you see the art where you see a person's hand, or little stick people, like the very first writing or art ever, those people were human beings, and they had the same human condition, right? Wants, desires, emotions, fears, anxieties, all of these things are part of what it is to be a human. Now, the situations do change due to the times, okay? But we are all still human beings. And that's something that we're going to be looking at in all of literature, whether you're looking at American literature, whether you're looking at world literature, any time, any place, it doesn't matter. When it comes to expressing ourselves, we're expressing aspects of the human condition. And that is the kind of the test of good literature. So possibly it's possible that maybe you simply needed to look a little bit deeper to find out what aspect of the human condition that Twain was trying to express. And maybe then it would be like, oh, now I get it. Or it could be this. It could be, hey, I know what he was trying to express. I just felt that in this case, it was poorly expressed. Or perhaps the author should have made it clearer. Or maybe, there's things that once you understand fully what the author was trying to do, then you can provide a better critical analysis. Simply saying I liked it or I didn't like it is very surface. And what we're trying to do is go a little bit deeper. So I applaud you. First of all, I applaud you guys for those of you who you're doing your homework, you're trying. Great. I'm happy. That's all good. What I'm going to encourage you to do with the rest of this class, we've got 14 more weeks, including this week, is to dig a little bit deeper. Okay. It's not just, did it make me smile, or is it something that I like? It is, what was the author trying to express? What aspects of being a human does this author touch on? Or what elements of the human condition is the author trying to make an expression about? We understand, for instance, love songs. Okay, or maybe there's a breakup song. Well, okay, that's an aspect of the human condition. I don't care if it's 2021, or if you go, back to BCE, right? Back to 2021 back then, or beyond. As long as humans have been humans, we've been falling in love and breaking up. We can all have some kind of a commentary on this. And you understand it whenever you listen to a breakup song or watch a movie. And some people express aspects of breaking up that maybe another person hasn't thought about. One of the hallmarks of good comedy, actually, is that they will illuminate a part of the human condition that people don't often look at. They look at it in a funny way, in a way that it's like, have you ever noticed this aspect of the human condition? And a lot of times it's these silly things that people don't write love songs about. Maybe it's just the aspect of, Seinfeld once had a whole bit about, whenever you're wearing clothes, you can kind of adjust and you can do all this. But when you're naked, you just stand there. There's not really much to do. And he said that he was going to develop some kind of, pockets, a belt with pockets on it, so that whenever he was naked, he would at least be able to put his hands in his pockets. Now, maybe you find that funny, maybe you don't. A lot of people did. Jerry Seinfeld's one of the most successful comedians of all time. And the reason why people are generally successful when it comes to any kind of expressive content is because they're touching on some aspect of the human condition that resonates with other people. Now, one of the reasons why Mark Twain was as big as Mark Twain is and was, is because of that reason. And all of the authors that we're reading this semester, it's also the case, right? They were touching on aspects of the human condition that resonated so strongly with their audience that we're still hearing about it today, that we're still reading their content today. So really start to think, and I appreciate the fact that you guys really, man, some of those summaries that you guys wrote, some of those for your homework, fantastic. I'm really impressed. And all I'm doing is just encouraging you to dig a little deeper. I would love to see how deep you can think about these things. Now, the reading for this week is The Real Thing by Henry James. Now, I want you to take a look at all the other things that Henry James wrote, okay? Because it's not like he just wrote this thing and that's it. But this is a short story, something that we can do in a class like this, and it's not going to overburden you. And this is a short story, and I want you to try to think about what aspect of the human condition that Henry James is touching on, okay? And I really want you to think about it. So let's take a quick look here at what you're going to do this week for me. You're going to do a week 3 discussions, okay? And I want you to really think about this. Now, if you have not completed your week 2 discussions, looks like most of you guys did a pretty good job catching up with week 1. But week 2, I think we had 1 actual comment and then 2 comments on that comment. I want everybody to make their own original post. And then everyone, I want you to at least comment on one other person's original post. So do that for for week 3 as well. And it can be over any aspect you want. Okay. Really lean into this human condition thing. Okay. It's if nothing else, it's a great prism to look at all of literature, music, and art through. And it really is the primary prism for all of that. So, okay, so let's take a look at the reading for this week. We're going to be reading about Henry James. So there's a section in the textbook. I don't give you the page number, but I want you to really read that. And I also want you to just think about these things. Think about these themes when it comes to Twain and James. Now, if it's not apparent whenever you just read the text, look it up, okay? You're beyond the stage when we're in these college literature courses, we're beyond the stage of everything is handed to you and fed to you. What we're trying to do is say, I'm leading you to it, and I want you to be able to say, well, you know what, I can do a little bit of Googling. I can do a little bit of Googling. See if you can answer these questions. These are the things we're going to touch on later on in the midterm and the final. So just think about them at least. Nothing has to be written about them necessarily this week, but just think about them. And then you are going to read The Real Thing, which you can find the start of that story on page 450 in your textbook. And then what I'd like you to do is go to the content section, and then your weekly homework is going to be, this is week 3 explication. We are actually getting into the world of real explication. So to explicate something is to, in a way, is to dissect it and explain it. And to explicate, and this is all you have to do this week, we're getting started with it. You're going to write a summary paragraph of the real thing, okay? So I want you to write an accurate summary of this story, and you should be able to do it within just 1 paragraph, okay? It might be a long paragraph, but you should be able to write me an accurate summary of the story, The Real Thing. Then the second thing you're going to do is you're going to write a paragraph explaining what you think the story means. What aspect of the human condition is the author describing / discussing in the story? What is the message of the story? Be sure to include specific examples from the text to explain why you believe your opinion to be true. Okay. And then you'll hand that in for 14 points possible. Okay. Now, the thing is, again, that second, so it's 2 paragraphs is all you're really having to write, but the thinking part is really what that's the hardest part of this assignment. First of all, the summary, as long as you've read the story, you should be able to summarize it pretty easily. But the second paragraph, what does it mean? What is the author trying to say? And maybe if you want to, you can use that explication, your opinion on what the author is trying to say, what aspect of the human condition the author is trying to speak on or comment on, and you can use that in your weekly comment in the discussions. Okay, so those are the 2 things I want you to do. If you have questions for me, feel free to email me or drop in on any of my office hours that are posted in the faculty tab. Guys, thanks so much and good luck this week.